Very good.
Okay, here we go. Let's welcome Samuel Hatton here to the summit.
Hi.
Thanks a lot, Samuel, for being here tonight. This is one of the nighttime interviews that we're doing, so I'm excited to have you here today.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. Very honored to be a part of your summit. I like the podcast that you're doing, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's cool. I know Samuel through a podcasting course that we take together, and I met him online, and he is a podcaster. He has a really cool podcast. It's called, go ahead, give it your best. Let me hear your title.
All right, it's called Courageous Self-Confidence, and it's a podcast really committed to increasing your self-esteem.
And I thought that would be really helpful to kind of bring Samuel here because I'm a big believer in a lot of our success as realtors is tied to our self-confidence and our self-esteem, how we feel about ourselves. So courageous self-confidence.
Right.
That's an awesome title.
Right. And the idea behind it is courage is taking action despite all the emotions that are going on inside you. You know what I mean? And it's that action towards what you know you should be doing, which is what really builds up your confidence.
That's good. That's good. So it's like we talked about before. It's like we're having a cup of coffee. You're going to give me 3 tips on how to help my business based on your expertise and experience. And after the 3 tips, I do have a bonus question that I haven't told you about. So kind of catch you a little bit off guard, but very easy. And so I'll let you roll with tip number 1.
Yeah, the first tip is to fully embrace yourself and where you are at in your career, no matter what. I mean, like, you're on this journey and you got to fully embrace it, fully dive into it. And what that might mean is you have, like, you might not be exactly happy with the production value or the production you're churning out or how many prospects you have. But, I mean, like, this is what you have. And this is just a part of your journey. So that's pretty much what it is. I don't want to ramble on too much without you asking me a little bit more about it.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good thing because, we always get in that mindset where the grass is greener on the other side.
Right.
And I think what you're trying to say is that, embrace who you are and really accept your career. And is it kind of like make the best of it or kind of find passion in what you're doing?
It's more of if you can look at your career as a journey, as like a path that you're taking, there's not going to be like one step that looks the same as any other step. The vantage point is always going to shift, no matter where you are. So you got to fully embrace everything that's around you. It's like there's a difference between someone, if we were to do a whole analogy on, or a shift in analogy on a journey, like a hike. There's the type of person that will go, like, is always thinking about the summit and will just keep his mind right there and kind of blow right past all of the beauty around him. And this is actually embracing the moment and saying, you know what, I'm here right now and there's an opportunity right next to me to smell the flowers or to have a conversation with this person. It's being present in your current season in your career. So
just kind of tie in with a lot of the philosophy of being mindful, mindfulness.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Being mindful, but more so in a larger picture, because there's always something that in every season and in every part of your career, there's an opportunity where you have an advantage in that position where you don't really have that opportunity anywhere else. Does that make sense?
I don't know. Kind of clarify that one a little bit more, because I know what you're saying, but is it more like, take advantage of what we have, with your strengths?
It is, but strengths is kind of like more of my next tip, um, which is important. But to really drive this one home, what I'm mostly talking about is you have to fully dive into where you are at. Because if you don't allow yourself to go through the all that it's going to take in order for you to mature and grow and get through this hump, or to take full advantage of the abundance that you might have right now, because you're not always everything isn't going to always be easy, but you got to fully embrace where you are at is pretty much where I'm getting.
So, this is good, and I think it's good to talk it out, Socratic method, right? So what I'm feeling here is that kind of let go, don't hold back, and because some of us sometimes we don't really give ourselves in all the way to doing something. There's maybe a little bit of us in the back saying, well, I'm not so sure if I want to do this, and maybe you're kind of setting yourself up to fail. But what you're saying is just kind of dive in, be that person. So in this situation, be the realtor, be the real estate agent, and be the best realtor you can be, and just embrace that.
Right. And even if your ultimate goal is like, I don't know if I always want to sell houses. Like, I want to be a realtor now, but I have this other vision of like, I want to be a speaker someday. Like, that's fine and everything, but you gotta be right here, because this is where the opportunities happen, right here with full engagement in your current state. That's kind of where I'm more so what I'm getting at. And you hit the nail on the head about being present in your career.
Okay, cool. It's cool. It reminds me of a little cartoon I saw years ago. Maybe you saw it. It was just two little frames, and the guy was riding his bike, and they had a little thought bubble. No, actually, they had him in his office, right? And they had a little thought bubble, and he was riding his bike. And then they had the next slide, and he was riding his bike, and the thought bubble was he was at his office.
Right.
So you see that? Yeah. So you're working, and you're thinking about vacation, and you're on vacation, and you're thinking about work.
Right.
So that's not what you're saying. So
right, and it's really about your current career, because we could look at you could look at different frames of your life, like I'm here at work and I would rather be riding a bike, but it's like, I want to be a business owner someday, but all I am right now is a real estate agent, single person working under an employer. Well, it's like, how can you maximize that relationship and steward under that employer? That's more so like that's what's going to get you the biggest bang for your buck and all the time that you put into your career, is if you can fully be there.
Okay, cool. Okay, well, go ahead with your tip number 2. I kind of stole some of your thunder.
No worries. Tip number 2 is similar, but it's about working from your strengths, your talents, your, what I like to call intangible assets. So these are pretty much what makes you unique. It's nice to look at other people and model after successful people who are where you want to go, but you have something that they don't have, and it's your own personal stories, it's your own personal experiences, and it's your own personal touch that no one else can replicate, because you are the original. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So is it really your personality, or are you thinking about the strengths of your skills, or is it really just more yourself?
It's all of the above. It is your personality, and your personality is very hard to copy. And if you feel like you have like a dull personality or whatever, like it's okay to, maybe take a class to make you better at that. And if you're looking for any single one class to take in order to improve your personality, I highly recommend improvisational theater, because that will get you really far in that area. But it's really about taking everything that you are and taking it to the next level, rather than trying to copy someone else's personality, copy someone else's approach. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So how do you get that self-confidence to truly be yourself?
Yeah, that's a really hard question to answer, because I think it's different for everybody. But I think that what you can do is you can ask. There's a few things. One is you can ask your closest friends what they think your greatest strengths are, your greatest value and talents. Like, just what am I good at, right? And just tell me 3 things I'm good at, and they will start to tell you things, and you'll be like, yeah, I know I'm good at that. I know I'm good at that. But like, listen, because this is the stuff that you can't put on the back burner when you're out and about on sales calls. Like, this is the stuff that you need to put front and center, that you can't discredit, that you can't put in the back burner because you're trying to model someone else. Like, these are the things that you need to put into who you present yourself as. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's good. I know in my experience to help, when I was starting out, one of the things that I did, I talked to a lot of my early customers after I helped them either buy or sell their house. And I just said, hey, what did you enjoy working with me as a realtor? What were my strengths? And then what were kind of my weaknesses? So that way I can get kind of a gut check from my customer. They could tell me where I was strong, what were my, my best attributes, but then where I needed help. And I think that's a good exercise for people.
Yeah, that's a very good thing. And it reminds me of another one, which is ask people what was it about me that made you want to hang out with me. Now, if you could ask your friends that, that's going to give you a lot of feedback into what you're doing right, just as a person. And usually it comes down to be yourself, but not just be yourself. Be the best version of yourself. Be yourself that wants to help other people, that wants to pour into other people, that wants to just have a good time and relax the environment around you.
Yeah, I think that's good. And in the way you phrased it, you ask your friends why they want to hang out with you. You could ask your customer the same thing. And I've done that before, where I just say, why did you choose me to be your realtor?
Right.
And you ask that question, and you are going to be surprised at some of the responses that you get.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. That's real good.
So that's a good tip. So anything else on that one before we go to your next one?
Yes. Just a couple of things. If you haven't done so already, I don't know if this is part of the rest of the summit or whatever, but if you haven't done so already, I highly recommend the Strengths Finder 2.0 book, because it will tell you what your top 5 strengths are. And as far as self-assessments go, the Strengths Finders is one that rarely shifts. Like whatever your top 10 strengths are, that's pretty consistent throughout your lifetime. But it will tell you your top 5, the basic book. There's a code at the end of the book. So get a new copy and not a used. And it's really cheap. It's like $15 or something. And it will tell you what your top 5 strengths are. And these are the things that you need to cultivate and work through. Because one realtor is going to be really good at strategically thinking, where another one's going to be really good at research. Well, if the one that's really good at research is able to pull that research and convey statistics, that's going to be much more powerful from you working from your strengths, your natural given skills and abilities, rather than the person that's very strategic is going to be able to spend more time planning, and that planning time is money time, because that's what's going to get you better results as opposed to someone else. So
that I haven't heard of that book before, or I haven't read it, I guess. I think I might have heard about it. So who's the author and what's the official title? And then you can share the link with me, and I'll put it on your speaker page.
Yeah, I have it right here. The book is Strength Finders 2.0 with Tom Rath.
Okay, cool.
And it's based on a another book. Now Discover Your Strengths. It's kind of funny I have them right here.
Yeah.
But I've been totally geeking out on everything that has to do with understanding who you are, like over the last year, because I think that's critical for anyone that's trying to build up something, So
Yeah, that's cool. So as a part of this, you're going to get access to the summit, and I'll kind of give a plug for one of the other speakers, Phil Shell. And Phil's going to be one of the last speakers here at the summit. And we're going to do a core values exercise. Have you ever done that before?
I'm familiar with the concept of core values, and I have done a exercise on values, but
yeah, so
I don't know if I've done his.
So yeah, you could do his. It'll be here at the end of the summit, and
Cool.
It's a very powerful tool. But thanks for sharing those books too.
Yeah, for sure. 2.0 will give you everything you need to know. The first book is a longer version, but 2.0 summarizes it very well.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Did you have another point you wanted to make in this section?
No, just self-assessments tell you a lot about yourself and where you should be working from. Because what you're trying to safeguard from is trying to be somebody else. Because it's okay to emulate other people when you're trying to get a start, but it's not good to stay in that place. You have a uniqueness about you that you need to cultivate. So.
Okay, great. Okay, we'll go ahead with your next one.
Yeah, the last one is dealing with disappointments. So I guess you'd say the tip I'd give you is get over stuff real fast. Right?
That's easy to say though, but how do we, give us some techniques on how to get over that, because...
Okay, I'm going to give you one technique.
Okay,
and
cool.
I'll give you multiple techniques, but I'll give you one technique that if you can do this, then you're going to be set. And that one technique is you give yourself permission to rant, cry, scream, throw a tantrum for 1 single minute when you're disappointed. And then after that, you have to let it go.
Only 1 minute?
You get 1 minute.
If I lose $1 million deal, I'm going to want to scream bloody murder for at least 10 minutes.
10 is good. 10, what you don't want to do is you don't want to be depressed for days on end. But if you can do this for 1 minute and just give yourself, I have permission to I give myself permission to rant and cry and scream for 1 minute, then you're going to force yourself out of habit to snap into, all right, well, now what can I do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but it's easier said than done.
It's very, very easier said than done.
Well, the reason is that, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on, because I think it's good to get perspectives from people outside the industry. And I think one of the problems that we run into as realtors is that if things go wrong, a deal goes south, we lose a client, it is the end of the world, for us, right?
Right.
Because we're in the middle of it, we're dealing with it. But, like what you're saying is, I mean, you're coming from the outside, and I think your advice is good. And I think we just have to realize that it isn't the end of the world. And if you, like you said, you give yourself permission to, to scream, cry, rant for a minute, and then that's it, then you got to move on.
Right, and the way you move on is pretty much you accept everything. First of all, you accept everything. Like, yes, this did happen, and then the second thing you do is you let go of every single thing that you cannot change, and then you muster up the courage to change everything that you can change. You ask yourself, what do I have control over in this situation? And that's really what you got to do, is you just accept everything that you can't change, and you pay attention to everything you can. So
now that's so true. I know years ago I managed a sales team, and a lot of younger sales reps, and whenever they lost a deal, it was heartbreaking. And I think just what you said, I said, focus on what you can control.
right.
And then you're taking it a step further and saying, then kind of energize yourself with what you can change.
Right. And that's the thing. You got to muster up that courage to just say, you know what, I can change this. And maybe you can't salvage the whole thing, but you could at least do something. And I like to say that disappointments are appointments to make things better. It's like you were talking about when you win a deal, you sit down with the client and you ask them, so what went well, what could have been better, with this whole process. Are you still there?
Yeah. I'm still here.
Yeah, so it's what went well, what didn't go well, and everything. Well, you got to do this, especially when big disappointments happen. You sit down, you make an appointment with yourself, and you keep this appointment, and you debrief. And the best way I know to debrief disappointments is to ask yourself, what went right? And what can I change next time?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. Say that again in terms of what you said for the coping, where you can't change, and then what you should change. We should get that in your page as your quote, because that was very powerful.
Yeah. It's you accept everything that you cannot change, and then you muster up the courage to change everything you can. It's pretty much.
Yeah, that's really good, Samuel. I like that. Yeah, let's get that on your speaker page.
Very cool.
Quote, because that is really, really good, and I think it helps. And so good.
Yeah, and then that the rationale behind that other debrief to write down everything that went well, and then everything that you will do differently next time, is you're not focusing on what went bad. Because if you focus on what went bad, then you're just going to put yourself into a spiral downhill, right? But you're just focused on what you can change, what you can do next time. And there's hope in that, so it's focus on the good stuff and you focus on the hope. And that's how you get through it.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. Okay. Anything else on this section here?
No, that's I've pretty much well, I mean I could go on, but I mean that's pretty much how you maintain a positive attitude and get through your disappointments.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I like that a lot. So, okay, so here's the bonus question, and very simple. So here we are. It's the middle of January 2016. I want you to look back last year, 2015, and I want you to share an accomplishment, a goal that you achieved that you're really excited about, you're very proud of, because I think it's good to look back and, kind of cherish what we did well, and it could be personal or it could be business.
Yeah. Well, can I share a business one and a personal one?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Business is I finally mustered up enough courage to launch a podcast that is directly aligned with who I am as a person. And this was kind of scary because I had started another podcast and it kind of dwindled out a bit. And it's just like coming back and saying, you know what, like this is what I want to do, and just allowing myself the time to reflect. It's been good. It's taken off way faster, especially being in the podcast course that we're in. So yeah,
and,
accomplishment.
And I want to clarify here, if you want to share, you're doing this podcast, all on your own time. You're not really getting any direct monetary benefits right now.
Right.
You've got a 9-to-5 job. Mm-hmm. So what motivated you to take the time and effort to do this outside of your regular work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It really comes from my heart. It's my passion. I want to pour into other people and just be a light. And in my current job, I do marketing, but copywriting and advertising and all that kind of stuff. It can only get you so far. So I feel like in my future, in my next life, my next stage in my career is probably something along the lines of what I'm doing for the podcast. So yeah, just the mindfulness stuff and imparting courage through encouragement.
Yeah, and I recommend all of you listening, I'll put the link on the speaker page, but definitely check out Samuel's podcast. I listened to it. It's entertaining, it's good information, and it's not like any other podcast out there, so it kind of breaks up my day, and he's very thoughtful, and so I enjoy it. So thank you for doing what you're doing, even though, it's a labor of love right now,
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah.
So go ahead. What's your personal success?
My wife and I are finally pregnant. So that's really exciting. And it's been a while, It's it's just good. It's good.
Well, that's great. Congratulations. So you've sounds like you've worked to get to this point, huh?
Yes. And we're about 6 months in, so a healthy baby, and I'm very excited. Yeah.
Well, that's great. I'm happy for you. Congratulations. I know you're going to be a good dad, so I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and this is our first, so yeah. Well, thank you, Mario.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. I appreciate it, and we'll talk again, maybe at the next summit.
All right, sounds good.